So yeah, right. This is where we are at. CFSI, the name of the webinar series is actually, I just came up with the name CyberFence. And I thought that CyberFence was a good name because it would sort of encompass or act as a perimeter for everything cyber, which doesn't just only include cybersecurity, but we also want to look at forensics and incident response, networking. Yes, we will have the cool stuff like system hacking and so on. For that one, we may have to look at some sort of non-disclosure agreement or anti-liability agreement because we will be showing actual tools and actual server hacking and system hacking, right? A lot of the things that we do here, it is actually I should say this upfront from now. This is the disclaimer from CFSI and CyberFence that everything is for educational purposes only, right, guys? Especially Alex and stuff. If anything goes wrong, we have the habit of blaming Alex for everything. So right? If anything goes wrong, we usually blame Alex. Alex, his jersey, his T-shirt says it all.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll stick with that. So let's just look at what we want to discuss for today because I hope that I gave us enough time. Let me just move something off my screen here. Right. Okay, great. Yeah. So today's agenda, I just want to give you all a quick intro into CFSI, the Computer Forensics and Security Institute, and the team that we have here. This is not the entire team that we have here, but these guys would usually be the ones to lecture and present and so on. We have a pretty big team at CFSI, but these guys here will more than likely be the ones that would be delivering workshops to you all over the next few months, hopefully the next few years, you know. A lot of people messaged and they could not register. If your friends and so on couldn't register, please let them know that I apologize. We're paying for this out of our own pockets when they go to webinar because the audio is crystal clear, but it's pretty expensive. And this package, it only allows up to 100 people. So hopefully in time to come, I can reach out to some vendors and suppliers and stuff and see if they might be willing to sponsor where we could have up to 250 or 500 people. The goal of it is really to just share our knowledge and our skill sets, right? Because when we reach the part about introducing the team, this is where things would get pretty interesting. Like I said, we have a very unique skill set, combined skill set between all of us, right? We're all into cybersecurity, penetration testing, I guess you can say ethical hacking, forensics, incident response, everything that encompasses cybersecurity. That's what we do at CFSI, and we not only do it, but we teach it. So a lot of people out there think that we only offer courses in all of this stuff. But a lot of companies don't know that we teach. They just know that we do penetration testing and forensics. So for us as well, this is just to get CFSI out there. But between the lot of us, we have some amazing levels of knowledge and skill set that we would like to pass on to you all for free, of course, right? Because when we get to some of these topics here later on, like for example, certs versus a degree, cybersecurity certs versus tech and non-tech and whatever. The main concern is that but the industry it doesn't cater for people that may not have the finances to put out on a lot of these certifications, because you have to remember a lot of these certifications are in US dollars, right? And we have a lot of people that are very intelligent, very talented, much like these guys in front of us here. However, the exchange rate makes it a bit difficult. For example, the SANS courses, if you all have ever heard about SANS, I think they would start at maybe 3,000 US and work their way up to 6,000 US. For those of us from Trinidad, that is roughly about, let's say, about $35,000 to $40,000. And after we do these certs, we're not sure if we're going to get a job or even an internship, right? So that's some of the concerns that we have, and that's one of the reasons why we decided to go ahead and do this workshop. It's to make sure that we could sort of level the playing field just a little. I mean, it would not be an industry relevant not necessarily industry relevant, but industry recognized certificate that you'll be getting from CFSI. But we know for a fact that these workshops, they are going to enhance your skill sets. All right, so yeah, some of the things that we want to do today as well, talk about certification, recertification, certs versus self-taught experience. There are so many certifications out there. We'll touch on a few of them. I'm not going to bash any of them. I am just going to leave it up to you all to decide what you would like to do. All right, so we don't have many slides to go through because I don't want it to be, just where you look at a screen and I talk and so on, but the guys will also be giving their input when we proceed. All right, so just a little bit about us in particular. CFSI is actually 10 years old. Sometime between last month and this month, I missed our birthday, but yeah, CFSI is 10 years old. A lot of people may not even have heard of us before, but we've been doing penetration testing, forensics, incident response. Jonathan was actually one of my first students. I probably taught Johnny the certified ethical hacker course in 2008, 2009, Johnny, somewhere around there.
Around it.
Yeah, and actually all these guys here, even though I work with them and they are my lecturers, they were also my students at some point in time. And then they started working for me, and now we're all pretty close. We have a very dysfunctional family between us, which I'm very proud about. All right, so yeah, CFSI, the Computer Forensics and Security Institute, we're 10 years old this year, and I thought that we should do something fabulous. I mentioned this to my late father. He passed away a couple months ago, which was pretty hard, but he was pretty excited about this idea about CyberFence, and he wanted to make sure that I acted upon it and so on. So I thought, hey, what better way to remember this awesome guy by trying to make this a reality? So hopefully every month we will have one webinar where we just freely and openly discuss topics, or we present to you all on maybe some sort of topic of the day. And we will have a workshop. We will definitely have minimum one workshop per month. All right, so by the end of a year, hopefully by next year, August, September, you should have about 12 certificates from us if you decide to stick with us throughout the series, because we want to make it into, it'll almost be like an actual entire course where we start from the beginning, from the fundamentals, and we carry you all the way up through the different levels to the cybersecurity, the forensics, a bit of networking. So we want to make sure that people actually have resources out there. You have a lot of good free resources out there, but we have been in this field for 10 years and we don't just teach it. This is what we do, right? So we do the vulnerability assessments, the penetration testing, incident response, digital forensics, the advanced networking in particular. Joel, my good friend Joel here, he is, for lack of a better description, a beast at networking, network security with firewalls, Fortinet, Cisco, Checkpoint, you name it. That is Mr. Gooding for you all. If you all are looking for someone to upgrade your network, perhaps, right, you all can reach out to him and contract him directly. All right, but yeah, apart from that, we do some, well, we've started officially our cybersecurity mentoring, and we also do consulting for companies worldwide. We do have a couple of partners in Trinidad, in the Caribbean, one in Canada, and we are recently connected with one in the US, in New York actually, which will mirror all the services that we offer. And just to endorse the fact that we are subject matter experts, we actually wrote the book on it, right? I wrote the book for the digital forensics, Alex, and one of our other lecturers at CFSI, Mr. Damian Boudou. Alex, Damian, and I, we did this book, which is the Kali Linux Assuring Security by Penetration Testing, right? They are all from Pact Publishing. You don't have to go out and buy the books. This is just to show you that we have an idea of what we are talking about. All right, so again, it's been 10 years. We have a lot of experience in the field, and we have a lot of experience teaching this stuff. For example, some of you may know about courses such as the Certified Ethical Hacker and the Computer Hacking Forensics Investigator, pretty much courses from the EC Council. So CFSI has been an EC Council authorized training center, and we're the only certified EC Council instructors in the Caribbean, in the entire Caribbean. We're also the only school or company or institute authorized to conduct training and exams for those courses, such as the certified ethical hacker. So all of us are actually certified ethical hackers and threats intelligence analysts, forensics investigators. This is what we do, right? So some of our clients that we've had just for, even though I put here over the past year, just for this year alone, actually, some of our clients where we've done assessments, I can't divulge the nature of the assessments for some of them, but we have done full penetration tests for Fujitsu, for Unipet, for those of you outside Trinidad. I know we have a couple people from the US, from Canada, and I think we have one person from as far as Tunisia. Thank you all very much for joining, by the way. So I'm pretty sure you all would know about Fujitsu. Unipet is our gas and fuel provider, one of them. We have NP, which is National Petroleum, and then we have Unipet. There is a online payment system called WePay, CarryPay, and my friends across in Curacao, Pure ICT. I'm seeing that we do have some persons from Curacao here, guys. It's awesome to see you all again. Well, at least speak to you all, I should say. All right, so we do have about 3 more pen tests lined up for the year, and I think I'm going to lock off the pen tests because when we get to that aspect of the workshops and so on, you'll realize that penetration testing is a lot of work. It's a lot of headache. I used to look much younger before I started this stuff, but oh yeah, okay, sorry, bad jokes. Yeah, so let me just quickly introduce everybody, and I'll give everyone a chance to just say a little about themselves, right? The only one missing from here is in that blue box, my good friend Leslie, who is into data recovery, and he's also a forensic analyst, and he's also a crypto specialist, which maybe he might, stop by sometime to do a little talk on crypto and mining and all these things that he's into. He has his own company with it, etc. All right, so my name is Shiva Parasram, and I own CFSI, the Computer Forensics and Security Institute. I am a pen tester, I'm the director, forensics investigator, and a lecturer. I've actually been lecturing cybersecurity courses since maybe 2004, but I've actually been lecturing in general since probably about 2000. So it's been about 21 years in IT and so on. Actually, it's more than 21 years in IT. It's about 17 years in cybersecurity and incident response and forensics and so on. I'm not going to talk too much about myself. I'm just going to say hi. I'm Shiva. I hack stuff. How are you? Next up, we have Mr. Alex Sam, who is one of my very good friends. He is also a senior in Ernst & Young, which is one of the big 4 firms. Alex does pen testing and vulnerability assessments for a living. He is also certified as an ISO 27002 lead implementer, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Alex?
Yeah. Implementer, auditor.
Yeah, and he's also one of the lecturers here at CFSI. He does some of the offensive security training. We have Mr. Deodat Ganga with us there, looking all sharp with his new haircut and slick down hairstyle. Thanks for joining us, Deo. So there was a field network engineer for Fujitsu, and he's also done a lot of pen testing and lecturing for us here at CFSI. We have the very interesting Jonathan Mahaber here, who is the king of social engineering. Maybe one day he might talk about KFC, but we'll probably have to make sure that that video is not uploaded for obvious reasons. So Johnny is a lecturer and a pen tester at CFSI, and he lectures offensive security, network defense, threat intelligence as well. And I think Johnny is moving on to a very big role soon in cybersecurity, which I will not divulge just yet until maybe about September. We also have the very, very talented Mr. Joel Gooding, who has pulled me out of some very sticky situations with firewalls and so on. Joel is honestly the king of firewalls. Joel has built infrastructure for ISPs across the Caribbean, in various countries and so on. I think Joel and Alex should be moving across to Canada soon. So if we have anyone from Canada across here, feel free to reach out to them if you have any advice for them, or if you'll need any help building up your system, securing them, pen testing, and so on. So what we'll do, I'll just hand it over to these guys for a quick second, going in that order as we see on screen, for them to maybe, guys, if you could just maybe say a couple things about yourselves, maybe how long you've been in the field, how you started off in particular in this field. All right, so Alex, you're up.
Hi, good night, everyone. So, like Shiva said, I do penetration testing and cybersecurity work for Ernst & Young. Been doing it previously with Shiva, not just lecturing, but actually doing pen testing and stuff before that as well. I was just fortunate enough to be born into a family where my dad was a teacher, but he never taught computers for secondary school, but he taught after, continuation classes after school and white tab classes. And I used to sit down in class with him. So I knew to program in QBasic, when I was like about 9 or 10, something like that. And yeah, that was like the first language. I learned to use the Linux kernel long before I learned to use Windows. So explains a lot of why I'm still here. So that's pretty much, I think I'm just one of the lucky ones in that aspect of it. So that's me.
I think what Alex is saying is that he was born a nerd and he just grew into a bigger nerd, and soon the planet may not have enough room for his nerdism. All right, but yeah, Alex, thanks for that. Dale.
Hey guys, so yeah, as Shiva said, so I'm a field network engineer at Fujitsu. I help maintain the backbone of the ICT solution for the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, GovNet. I also do some vulnerability analysis and pen testing for CFSI. Before entering this field, I was actually an AC technician. So I was always IT savvy. I was on social media one day on Facebook, saw an ad for certified electrical hacking and thought, well, yeah, this is something that would be cool. I could be a hacker. And that was it. Did CCNA to complement the hacking skills, got a job out of it. And yeah, went from there. Not much to talk about.
Pretty exciting there. Thanks.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. No, but that honestly, that is pretty impressive, because yeah, Dale was an AC technician, right? I myself, I was into accounts before I started. This was a really long time ago. This was 1999. Some of y'all probably weren't even around yet. But yeah, a lot of us didn't just jump into cybersecurity. It took us some years to get here. All right, but it's still pretty amazing. That I remember I was teaching a certified ethical hacker class, and they all came to register, and I looked at him and thought to myself, okay, this looks like an interesting character, and I don't think he might pay much attention to me because he looked like a joker. We all do. But eventually, through classes, he started installing things on his own, like Kali Linux and ParrotOS and these things, and it got my attention. And that's when I realized, okay, maybe I should pay even more attention to this guy and his skills. And I didn't have to teach him anything. He pretty much learned. All these guys, they have one thing in common, which is to learn on your own, which is what we hope to inspire in you guys. All right, so Johnny, next.
Yeah, so hi guys, been in the cyber field since, well, Shiva said 2008, probably, however long ago that was. But the guy that actually got me into the whole thing was my lecturer in SAMS, Sivan.
Sivan, yeah.
Sivan, I actually did the BSc in Computing and Information Systems. He was the one that actually saw that I got, I think it was a credit or distinction in internet and intranet security. He was like, you know, you really, when you want to do this, you should pursue it. I mean, I was always into tech in a way, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. But all these years later, Shiva taught me, and that was a class that kind of rocketed it off.
It just went downhill from there. Yeah.
You know, uphill way. Yeah, I mean, been teaching at CFSI for what, about 2 or 3 years now. You would take a little bit more. I can't remember.
Can't remember.
After a certain amount of years, just forget. Yeah, I do lecturing. I lecture CH, CND, CTI, ECSA when I was around. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And yeah, pen test, I help Shiva out with those, do my own pen tests on his side as well. Again, pretty much everybody here, I could say that, you know, we have learned a lot from each other. I mean, I know I learned a lot from, especially Shiva and Alex. There's some, I think we'll come into that a little bit later on with the imposter syndrome and that kind of thing. But
Yeah, we probably need to do an entire session on something called imposter syndrome.
We probably have a whole webinar on that one, but yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, so pretty much it. Joel?
Joel.
Hey. Hey guys. So yeah, that's a good point actually on the imposter syndrome. It is real, and sometimes you doubt yourself in terms of your talent and your ability. But believe me, we were in your shoes at one point in time, and sometimes we still are. We second guessing stuff in the back of your mind. When you know you have the ability and the talent to execute just about anything that you want to do. But yeah, I have got my start into this field actually fixing printers. That was my first job. I used to fix old Okidata dot matrix printers, if anybody knows what those are. Horrendous old printers. And after printers, I went into PCs and laptops and stuff like that. So it's been a long road. Just like everybody else here on the team, and for everyone else out there on listening on the webinar as well too. We all have our own history and the way we got started and stuff, but branching more into network environments and security over the years that went by, and I've been in ever since. At CFSI, we do a lot of fun stuff, so we all complement each other's skills where we, yeah, fun in quotation marks, right? A lot of which we can't talk about, but yeah, the skill set that we have is broad. The range and depth is great. The team is fantastic. The camaraderie that we have, it's something that I think organizations would be just insane to, if they had this kind of talent on their books, it would just be absolutely crazy. But for me, it's been a long road, and the journey never stops. We all continue to learn. We do, even though we're all here as lecturers and a part of CFSI, we all do exams and training every single year. That's how the job goes. So it's important to keep up with the industry, and there is no better place to do that than here at CFSI. So fantastic ways to be.
Well, thank you very much, Joel, for that endorsement. Yeah, we're a team of pretty down to earth guys. You all can feel free to reach out to us. I'll probably make our contacts available more towards the end. Yeah, and like these guys said, not all of us started off in cybersecurity. It has been a very long road for us, because especially for some of us in Trinidad, as you all know, I mean, finding a job in cybersecurity in Trinidad is almost like a needle in a haystack. There are very few, very far between, and then, dare I say, stupidly enough, in some of the requirements for the jobs, for example, for an IT specialist, you will see some ridiculous types of requirements, and even some of the things that may be an asset, right? For example, there is one of the highest non-technical cybersecurity certifications called the CISSP from the ISC squared. I have seen many job openings that say things like CISSP is an asset. CISSP is not an asset. CISSP is usually where you end up after you spend years and years in cybersecurity and maybe decide to go into management. That's where you usually end up, right? So for those of you all in Trinidad, I mean, stick it out. Just stick with us too. We'll try to give you some great advice. We'll try to teach you all through the workshops, maybe even help you all get certified, right, in some sense or the other. And even if you are looking into heading outside, or as I would like to say, looking outside of your fishbowl, right, to explore the ocean a bit out there, whether it be the US, UK, Canada, whatever, we can actually help you out in some of those processes. All right, so yeah, let's continue with this. So we do have some partners, official partners in CFSI. So One of our guys, Leslie, he's working with a company called Cryptogenics, which will be released soon enough, and that's in Trinidad. Our US partner, right, which is CTMS, the Cyber Threat Management Solutions. CTMS will actually be a complete mirrored service of CFSI across in the US, right? I believe the director is actually on the call with us, if I am not mistaken. Yeah, Mr. Aaron Jamarat is here. He's actually the owner and the director of CTMS. My good friend Umar Mohammed from Trinidad, he has a company as well that does cyber forensics and cybersecurity and forensics called Foresight. And then we have my good friends at Curacao, Pure ICT. I love those guys. They usually fly me out to do some work for them every now and then, and they take such great care of me. They're amazing people. Big shout out to all my guys across there in Curacao. So yeah, let's get to it then. Right, so purpose of CyberFence in particular, right? It really is just our way of giving back to the community, right? Because, like I said, some of us have more than 2 decades of experience in IT and cybersecurity. Some of us would have a little over a decade, and some of us are actually now getting into it. For example, they probably started cybersecurity in maybe what 2018? Or yeah, 2018, 2019, somewhere around there. And he is now doing professional penetration tests for CFSI and lecturing some of the courses and so on. So don't be discouraged if you hear me saying that I have 21 years in the industry or the field and so on. That it doesn't matter. It really, the time that you spend is really what you put in, genuinely put in, the effort that you put in. So what we will do throughout the CyberFence series too is guide you all as to how you can reach this exact level to a point where you can actually state that you are a cybersecurity professional on your LinkedIn profiles and your resumes. Speaking of LinkedIn, if you all do not have a LinkedIn profile, please today, tonight, tomorrow, before the weekend, please sign up for LinkedIn. It is a great place to network, to meet people, to reach out, to even reach out to recruiters and business people and HR people to find out, maybe get some advice as to what you can do, or share with them where you would like to be, some of your goals, maybe get some advice on it, right? You can also reach out to all of us. We are all on LinkedIn. Feel free to send us connection requests there. We will be very happy to give you all some advice. Especially because of the fact that for a lot of us who have been in it for a while, when we started off doing this stuff, myself, for example, I didn't have anyone that I could have asked for advice on where to go and what certifications. When I decided to do the certifications, such as the Certified Ethical Hacker and Security Analyst and all of those, I just had to get all the books, read from start to end, and I think one for the Certified Ethical Hacker at the time, it was 5 volumes of books. Each book was maybe about 11 to 1500 pages, and then there was a lab book. Yeah, it was a very thick book. It almost looked like a phone directory, to be honest. Right, so thankfully things have progressed a lot from there. A lot of the material has been condensed. For those of you all, I'm seeing a lot of our students here actually, right? So for a lot of you all have taken classes with us, you know that we focus more on the practical aspects of things, because at the end of our classes, we want you all to be able to just go out there and jump into things and actually put what you've learned into practice, and not just make some money, but make a career out of it, right? So you will be receiving, like I said, free certificates when we put out the workshops. I am hoping to put out the workshops tomorrow. It will be on the CFSI page on LinkedIn. At the end of it, I will leave that information there with you all, because for those of you all that signed up here, I would like to make sure that you all sign up for these workshops first of all, because we're pretty happy to have you all here. Like I said, we were probably expecting about 10 people, so to have 100 people register was pretty amazing, right? What we will also do is that I'll probably try to make a YouTube channel and upload the majority of these videos. I say the majority because our mouths, we may slip up from time to time. I blame Alex, right? But yeah, we will try to put all of these webinars on our YouTube page, and I will put out the links to the YouTube links on the social media pages, the Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. Oh, speaking of Instagram, CFSI actually has a promotion going on right now on Instagram where you could win free tuition. So we're giving away spaces for up to 6 persons in 3 different courses, where we have an offensive security bundle, which is the Certified Ethical Hacker and the Pentest Plus, CompTIA Pentest Plus, Hacking with Kali Linux. All of that is actually one course. We have another with the Threat Intelligence Analyst and the CompTIA CYSA CISA Plus. And we also have a course that we actually created by ourselves, which is an introduction to cybersecurity, which covers an introduction to everything, to penetration testing, vulnerability assessment, networking, forensics, incident response, virtualization. So for anyone out there that is actually now looking to get into the field of whether it be networking or cybersecurity, it is an option. If you want to learn more about it, you can visit our website, cfsi.co. That doesn't mean that you can't do all of this on your own. You can very well do all of this on your own. If you're looking for great instructor-led classes, sure, feel free to check around. You don't only have to check out CFSI. There are a lot of schools out there internationally, right? But yeah, I'm sure even if we don't offer a course or a degree or something like that, and you need advice on maybe how to pursue or move forward, it's fine, right? Whether for those of you in Trinidad, whether you see a course at SVCS, SAMS, CTS, wherever, right? And we don't offer it, but you maybe want to get some direction, feel free to reach out to us. It's absolutely not a problem. As long as you all learn and you all progress and you're happy with your progression, that's actually what we care about, right? This is the whole point of the CyberFence series, to make sure that we could sort of motivate you all and guide you all. So there are a lot of cybersecurity webinars that you can subscribe to as well. There is an excellent source called Black Hills Information Security, or Black Hills InfoSec. I think you can look them up as BHIS. They offer webinars and training and certification as well. Excellent, brilliant guys as well. All right, so the more you expose yourself out there is the only way that you are going to learn. There's no way that you can actually read one book and get into this. It takes a lot of practice, which is what we will get to shortly. A lot of practice, right? The issue that we have with a lot of tech people in particular is that the tech people, they prefer the hands-on approach, where you could actually do something. You could maybe do some exploitation or forensics analysis, or a bit of networking with the Cisco devices, the firewalls. Tech people are usually quite hands-on people, right? I know there's this thing about being left-brained and right-brained and so on, if you look into it a bit, right? But we hopefully will be able to strike a balance with everyone and make you not afraid of non-technical cybersecurity certs, such as things like ITIL, project management. There's one that Joel loves called the CISA, the Certified Information Systems Auditor. I'm being very sarcastic.
I wouldn't say loves, but yeah.
But Joel is a certified CISA auditor, I guess, yeah. And Alex as well, he does ISO. He's an ISO certified lead auditor. I know Johnny and Dave was currently studying for the CISSP, and I'll leave that right there, and let's move on from here. So, pretty big question, right? How do you actually get into the field? This is it. This is it right here. This is the be all and end all. Read, look at videos, subscribe to different channels, subscribe to CyberFence on CFSI, lab up. By saying lab up, there are entire resources out there. VulnHub, there is, vulnhub.org, right? I mean, we'll get to all these things, especially workshop. We will guide you all. We'll put together a really nice list of free resources for you all to work on, right? So for example, next week, Thursday, I'm hoping that we can run the first workshop, which will be an introduction to cybersecurity, forensics, virtualization. And then next month, we will probably show you all how to build your own lab for vulnerability assessment, penetration testing, networking, and incident response. right? So once you have at least those 2 workshops under your belt, it should be pretty easy to actually follow whatever we do from there, whether it be open source intelligence or server hacking, ransomware analysis, memory analysis, all of these things. As long as you can create your own lab at home or even at work, depending on the type of machine that you have, you will need a machine with at least 8 gigabytes of RAM. The more RAM you have, the better off. Some of us, I have a couple machines. Actually, I have some pretty interesting machines packed away in a different room. CFSI has a very small data center, and we have I believe it's a 48 core Threadripper with 64 gigs of RAM. We have a Ryzen 9 with 32 gigs of RAM. My laptop is a Ryzen 9 laptop with 32 gigs of RAM. So the more RAM you have, the better the processor you have for virtualization and building your own labs. It is essential. Money is a factor. It's a huge factor. It's the main factor actually in determining how how well built your lab is. But I would say, at least to start off, if you have a machine with 8 gigs of RAM and maybe if it's a quad-core processor or high-end dual-core processor even, you should be able to run these virtual labs, because we want to show you all how to set up virtually using virtualization, some sort of Windows machine, most likely for exploitation. But we want to set up some operating systems and show you all how to set up some virtual boxes, I should say, for things like Kali Linux, Ubuntu, Parrot OS, and for forensics in particular, my favorite, which is one called CSI Linux. I am going to reach out to the creator of CSI Linux so that when we actually do one of the workshops with CSI Linux, hopefully he will be here to give us a little talk about CSI Linux. Maybe we can pick his brain and interview him. Y'all can probably ask him questions as well, right? But that first point there with read, lab up, practice, repeat, up until this day, we all do this. As much as I have 20-something years in this field, we always lab up and try something new. We read about a new exploit. I am always into ransomware, because ransomware is the biggest threat that we pretty much have these days. It's almost the biggest threat, I should say. The biggest threat may be the insider threat with employees, disgruntled employees and so on, because some of you all may know something or may have heard about something called an APT, or the persistent threat. The persistent threat could actually just be a disgruntled worker inside your organization. Think about it. Most of you are looking at this webinar. Are you all happy with your employer? I'm not saying that you all are going to unleash ransomware, but are you truly happy with your directors, with your managers? It's fine. A lot of managers and directors are idiots. I am a director myself. The guys may tell you that I'm an idiot. But I mean, facts are facts. We will keep this straight, plain talk and open. I really wish we had more managers out there that would look out for their employees and look at the growth of their employees. I usually try to encourage my guys to write exams and stuff. I bought a couple of exams for them because I want to see them grow. I want to see them move on. If they tell me that they have to leave CFSI to move on to something else, great. I'll actually celebrate that with them. You know, your friend's success is just as important as yours. And like Joel and everyone said, we are actually a very, very tight-knit unit, if not a family, at CFSI. Right? So choosing the right courses and certs is very important. Do not just look at what is being advertised by different schools and decide, okay, well, this is where I would like to, this sounds good, this is what I would like to do. One of the main points of the webinar is actually to help guide you all so that you would realize for yourselves how to choose the right courses. Don't just do a course because it has a cool name like cybersecurity engineer or ethical hacker or one of these things. Make sure that if you sign up for these courses that you are being taught, that maybe you could look for references, referrals, go online, look into it yourself, you know, do your own research. Don't just take anyone else's word for it. Don't even take our word for it. Make sure you do your own research. So we'll look at choosing the right courses shortly. Create content and promote yourselves. Please, guys, please join LinkedIn, whether it be tonight, tomorrow, this weekend, please join LinkedIn. You can write down our names, you can take a screenshot, you can look for us on LinkedIn, you could add us, you could feel free to reach out to us, it's not a problem, right? But don't just join LinkedIn. Try to create some of your own content. So even based on these workshops, if you're able to take some notes and you want to put those notes up on LinkedIn, or maybe you looked at a webinar, you looked at a YouTube video tutorial, and you make some notes on it. Maybe you want to give credit to whoever the original uploader or teacher is. That's fine, but be sure to create your own content, whether it's just one page, half a page, or you write a little note about something on LinkedIn. A lot of people usually just share content on LinkedIn, and it kind of becomes Facebook from that point. So try to put yourselves out there, create your own content. If you're trying to get a job and put yourself out there, just make sure that you get yourself noticed, and the best way to get yourself noticed is actually to just create content, and that's about it. It honestly is that. For example, when I wrote the three books for Pact Publishing, that's how they reached out to me. They reached out because of LinkedIn, because I started publishing some material. All right, so yeah, fourth point there: read more, lab up again, practice more, and repeat. That is it. That is the secret. So it all comes back to trying to lab up, right? So when we get to creating the labs by next month, what I will do, actually, you all please feel free to add me on LinkedIn, because what I will do is probably put out some tutorials as well, right? Or some useful information about what you may need before the workshops, right? So once you all register and stuff, yes, you will be getting updates. I can actually send out automatic updates to everyone via the GoToWebinar and GoToMeeting. But yeah, try to subscribe to the CFSI page on LinkedIn, or just add us as friends, add me as a friend or as a contact on LinkedIn, and you should get a lot of pretty good updates. And lastly here, please look outside your fishbowl, right, which we'll discuss later. So the fishbowl for some of us would be Trinidad, for those of us who are Trinidadians, right? Yes, we grew up here, we live here, but a lot of my friends are no longer in Trinidad. Everyone is out in either the US, the UK, Canada, somewhere like that. And that's what I mean, look outside, because obviously in those developed countries, that is where that's where it's at, right? That's where all the opportunities are, the jobs and so on. So we want to actually discuss that a little bit later in one of the slides coming towards the end. So a big question that is usually asked by a lot of students, by a lot of my clients even, or persons that I'm just trying to give advice to, sometimes may call or they might WhatsApp me and ask me about certain questions about certifications versus degrees. It is really all up to you, but please do your research, right? For the certifications in cybersecurity and networking, you have CompTIA, you have the EC Council. There is a new guy on the block called the Cyber Mentor. His name is Heath Adams. You can look him up. I think the Cyber Mentor, he has his own website. He has a YouTube channel. He's on LinkedIn. He's on Twitter. That guy is great. He does a lot of courses and offers it for like anywhere between 10 US for about 40 US. And we're talking about full courses in open source intelligence and penetration testing. The courses are pretty short, maybe between 5 hours to 15 hours, but it's for the price and the content that you receive from Heath, it is excellent, right? There is Rochester as well. Rochester has a certification called the RCCE, the Rochester Cybersecurity Engineer. It's pretty new as well, but it has some pretty good content. Then you have the usual, you have Microsoft, you have Cisco. I'm not going to get into which one is better and so on. I am just going to leave that up to you guys to do your own research. Certs are very expensive. As the holder of more than 15 certifications, I can tell you all that it is very, very expensive, because some of the certifications that I've done, the cheapest certification exam-wise was 350 US, all the way up to maybe 1,000 US. Some of them are far more than that. And I have 15 of those, which I have to update and recertify regularly, which does not make me a happy person at all. Degrees are for life, but I mean, they are generic, right? They are very generic. They are less focused. Usually, for example, if you want to be a network engineer or a network technician, for example, right? Yes, you can do a degree in networking, but you can also do the Cisco CCNA or the Cisco CCNP, right? Because those are very focused on Cisco switches, which you can actually configure on your own, at firewalls, all sorts of things there, right? Whereas degrees, yes, you would be able to specialize maybe a bit depending on the amount of work that you put in, but it really is up to you. Don't just do a degree for the sake of having a degree. Everyone actually has degrees from, you know, the minute you finish with high school, you usually jump into a degree because that's just the way the world sort of lets you or leads you on to believe that you need to go to school, you need to get a degree, you need to get a job, you need to get a family, you need to settle down. Do it on your own. That's all I can say. All right. The problem with specializing with a degree is that you usually have to go into a master's degree or postgrad for specialization. For example, I did my master's degree at in Trinidad in SAMS, which is a master's degree in network security, which was pretty good, right? I had some good lecturers and so on. But it still was a bit generic, even though it's a formal specialization. And of course, you could go even further to do a PhD, right? But still have a look at some of the certs that you think, look at your goals in particular, right? And based on your goals, look at the certifications that would match your goals. Don't just go and do Microsoft and Cisco or EC Council or Rochester and whoever it might be come to you just for the sake of doing it because you've read that it was popular, it was good, or it's accredited, or it's recognized. It doesn't matter, because I know persons with one professional certification, a degree, and the wealth of knowledge that they have because they are usually always updating themselves in a practical manner, labbing up and reading up and so on, right? There's nothing that says that, you know, just because I have 15 certifications and a master's degree, it doesn't mean that I'm going to make any more money than you. It doesn't mean that you can't have your own business. It doesn't mean any of that. It just depends on how much time you put into everything. All right, so last item there is just be realistic and focus on your goals and skills in particular required to achieve them. I'll let the guys probably have some input here in case they want to maybe give a little bit of advice here. Anybody wants to jump in?
Yeah, I mean, I could add to that. You know, back, I was like what, early 2000s when everybody was on the degree train, gate and all that thing. Well, again, speaking locally here, we're trying to, everybody's like, yeah, go get a degree. Well, went in and got a degree, came out. There were pretty much no IT jobs because it was saturated as hell.
Yeah.
And I mean, from there, that's why again, thankfully I had a lecturer that kind of, you know, guided me towards the cybersecurity part of it. But can you imagine what I'd be actually doing now if I didn't actually take that part? So yeah, I mean, degrees are good. Yeah, it looks good on paper.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because I heard someone actually mention it before. I'm not too sure if it was you, Shiva, actually. It'll be like what a degree is pretty much these days is like, can you actually, I don't want to say take instructions, but it's like a baseline.
It almost trains you to be an employee.
Yeah. If you have a degree, okay, yeah, we could hire you. You're not really what to do, but you're going to be an employee. It's kind of pretty much like that. And the suits, especially as you were saying with Heath Adams, I mean, well, as you know, I did a bunch of his courses, did the external pen test playbook, the OSCENT, and I mean, I've been doing this for however long now, and I still learn some things from him. I mean, so I think, you know, it's to be as balanced as possible would be a good start, I guess. But just for me, I think in today's world, degrees are kind of dead. Don't take my word for it. My opinion.
That does not mean don't go on to your degree. but he has a point, because degrees, they pretty much just train you to be employable, not necessarily to be an employer, right? So if you have a skill that you can grow and focus on and set goals with that skill set, you can have your own business. Everybody should actually try to register some sort of business. Alex is actually also into 3D printing and agriculture, and he's also a musician, right? Deo does everything under the sun. Deo and Leslie both built a data center, an entire data center by themselves recently, and it's fully functional and up and running. We haven't had any fires.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, and yeah, Joel does everything in networking. Joel is intimidating. He's just almost too great at what he does. But Joel, Alex, Deo, anything y'all want to throw in with that too about certs and degrees?
Yeah, go first, Leo.
Yeah, well, set your goals and focus on certain things at one time. Try not to put too much on your plate. I mean, there was one time where I was trying to do everything, and I spoke to both you and Alex, and you guys actually told me, you know, trying to do too much at the same time, and I probably wouldn't learn anything, and it was true. I couldn't focus on one thing. And that's when I sat back and I decided to focus on the ethical hacking. And now I guess, well, doing so, you actually took me on as a pen tester. So yeah, try not to take too much on your plate. Time is a real factor. I never thought in my entire life that I would be this busy. And not having time to do anything. And when I say anything, even recreational.
Yeah.
So
That's an excellent point there, because I need to put this out there that if you guys are in cybersecurity or are thinking to get in cybersecurity, that's pretty much your life right there. Because in cybersecurity field, even though you may not be employed as being on call if you don't own your own company or do this on the side, you will end up being on call at some point in time because things happen, incidents happen. There is no firewall and intrusion detection program in the world that can protect you from every single thing. Yes, it may protect you from external factors, but what about the people on the inside? What about the disgruntled employees? What about people that may drive forklifts? That is a Trinidadian joke. So for those of you who are not from Trinidad, we had a incident with a Trinidadian and a forklift that was making headlines. But pretty much, I guess you could consider that, you could compare that guy to ransomware. He was hitting pretty hard. Yeah, Alex, Joe, yeah, anything to add?
Yeah, so real good points. It takes a lot of time, as you guys have rightfully mentioned, for a lot of the persons who looking to get started in the field. And it is not just confined to one specific side. I mean, everybody has different interests that may interest them in IT and security. So it's not just a confined field. The vectors have been broadened so widely that you could specialize in just literally about any other flavor of ICT that you can. There's programming security, there's infrastructure security, there's applications, there's a lot of stuff. Degrees are fantastic. Yes, they are one of the foundations for companies to baseline employees on. As Shiva said, the thing with degrees is that they are static, right? You do a degree from 1984, it is still relevant today, but what has changed, right? Environment has changed, technology has changed, the infrastructure has changed, the corporate environment has changed. A lot of stuff has changed since then. So the certs are a good way to break into the field in terms of what specialization you want to be able to do. There's tons of stuff, way too many vendors and career paths to go down, but you have to decide exactly what it is you want to do. Find the area that interests you, because I'm gonna say this, and I don't know how much people might be vexed with me, but going into or venture into an area that you decided to specialize in, where you don't like what it is you do, you are going to drive yourself crazy, right? You're gonna drive yourself mad. You're gonna waste a lot of time. Yeah, you're gonna waste a lot of time. You're gonna waste a lot of money and resources. So make sure it is something that you're interested in, right? And don't do it because yes, it may pay a certain amount of money, but you are not guaranteed. You're fighting them in the same fishing pond with all the fishes to get these jobs, right? So make sure it's something that you want to be able to do, because the more you pay attention to the field, is the more you'll be engaged with your certifications and content and networking with the people in the field, with the institutions that provide these certifications and training and engagement and stuff like that. So yeah, that's all I really have to add on it. So yes.
Yeah, Alex, anything?
The only thing I want to add is that the only thing you guys gotta remember about the major difference between the certs and degrees is that certs can teach you critical thinking. That's one of the main things a degree could teach you. They wouldn't really get from a cert. However, I could tell you, working in the industry, I have never used anything from my degree.
That
be-
is true. Yeah.
I have a degree in computer science and I have how much years of programming background, and I have not done any programming as part of any job that I've done scripting, yeah, but that's not programming. And I've never done any programming, but I have a computer science degree that majors in programming. So that just goes to show you, like, you need to, and just like Jonathan was saying, I got the degree, came out of school, and it had no job market. I ended up being a customer service rep at Digicel for a while, and then going across to TFTT for a while after that. And then after around 4 years or 5 years of doing that, got my first IT job 5 years after getting an IT degree. So yeah, that's the caveat you need to weigh in your head: the market availability for jobs versus what you are training in. Yeah, and well, I know further down in the conversation we have a few more things to go through on it as well. So I'll just leave it at that for now.
Okay, and that's some excellent points there, guys, because the age of your degree as well, because you come out of school with a degree, or even if you do a master's degree sometimes, hopefully by the time you do a master's, you may already know what field you want to be in, but usually you come out with a degree, and so do tens or hundreds of thousands of other people out there looking for the same job, and you can't get a job without experience. And it is just a never-ending cycle of insanity, right? It's just a loop over and over. Because so this is why I'm telling you all that if you want to get into cybersecurity, networking, incident response, forensics, you have to lab up. And this is where we will try to help you all put together the labs, do workshops, show you all exactly what is out there and what is industry relevant in the practical sense. Yes, you can go ahead and do degrees and certs and whatever, but again, it just like the first point that I have up on screen there, it is really all up to you what you decide to do. Make sure it is relevant. The problem with trying to find a degree that is relevant is that, as I think it was Joel mentioned, that if you do a degree in 1984, the degree is still, valid now in 2021, but the technology, especially in IT, anything in IT, it changes so fast. I think there was some law that states that technology is supposed to double every 18 months or something like that. Of course, it really depends on the global economy, but yeah, look at your options and see exactly where you want to be, but not just where you want to be, but look at what you can do and what you can see yourselves doing, or maybe what you can see yourself doing for now and then branch out into it. The problem that we have, the very unfortunate problem, is that people lose interest because, as Joel and Johnny and Alexander were saying, I mean, you get a degree and then you can't get a job, or you do an IT degree and then you can't get an IT degree for years to come. And then all that information okay, so it may have taught you to do critical thinking, but will it prepare you for the job at hand? For example, I have a friend who left for Canada, and he is certified with everything under the sun in IT and IT management and so on. But the technologies that they would be using in Canada compared to the technology that is used in Trinidad, even though it may be in the same industry and the same sector, is vastly different. So it's a never-ending cycle, which again is where it goes back to us saying, if you would like to get into cybersecurity, prepare to get old way before time. That's just how it goes. It is a lot of work. It is a lot of stress. These guys and myself, we don't sleep. We usually have to take a lot of supplements to be able to sleep. And I will leave that right there, and let's move on to our slide. So some of these certs that we're talking about, we focus more on the technical, but there are the non-technical. It is important to find some sort of balance. For those of us that are technical, even if you could have one of those non-technical certs there, it will add to your employability drastically. So for beginners out there, you all can do things like Network Plus, Security Plus, CISA Plus, Pentest Plus. Some of the more advanced courses are from EC Council, like the CND, the Certified Ethical Hacker, Forensic Investigator. The CCNA is actually something that all IT people should do because it teaches you routing, switching, how networks work, how to connect buildings together. And it's important because in cybersecurity, you don't just need to know how to hack and how to do incident response and forensics, but you need to understand how a network is actually built and connected. Even if you need to always have a piece of paper in front of you and draw out everything exactly as you would like it to, that's fine. Doesn't matter, you get it done, right? But the CCNA is very, very important. For those of you all that have no experience in networking and so on, if you don't have the money to do courses as well, there is a great site called ProfessorMesser.com. He has the A+, Network Plus, Security Plus courses on video for free, the entire course for free, right? That is Professor Messer, MESSER.com. I will throw that in the chat as well, right? Rochester has the RCCE as well, the Rochester Certified Cybersecurity Engineer. It may not be as recognized as the others just yet, but I know they are working their way into becoming certified. For example, the EC Council is accredited with the US Department of Defense and the American National Standards Institute, or ANSI, and a bunch of others out there. So that's the accreditation that we're talking about. PNTP, that is, I hope that is the right certification. Johnny can correct me if I'm wrong. But the Cyber Mentor, he actually has his own certification now, which I think is pretty cheap compared to the others. Some of those certifications that you see there, tuition, CFSI, our place is the cheapest place in the world for EC Council courses. It works up to about like what, maybe 400 US for tuition or something like that, whereas depending on where you go in the US and Canada and the UK, it can go up to 4,000. When I say 400 US, let's add everything together. Exams and tuition may come to about, let's say about 1,100, 1,200 US, compared to other places in the US and Canada and the UK, Australia, wherever you go. It may start from about 2,800 US all the way up to 4,000 US, depending on where you go, right? We're not too much about the money. Yes, we need to eat, we need to pay bills, but we want to help people move forward. We genuinely would like to help people move forward, right? So even if you can't take our courses and pay for the classes, it's fine. The workshops are coming up. For those of you all that aren't interested in the classes or prefer, okay, well, we're getting a workshop for free, well, then why do the courses? Whatever rationale you have, it is fine with us. We look forward to having you all there in the workshops. There's that one under the technical certification called the OSCP, the Offensive Security Certified Professional. If COVID was a certification, that would probably be it. OSCP, I know a lot of the goodly gentlemen here, they have been studying or attempted the OSCP. I think one of the only people I know with OSCP in Trinidad might be one of Alex's colleagues, Jeremy from EY. Maybe a couple others, but OSCP definitely tests your practical abilities. The one from the Cyber Mentor as well, everything is practical. That exam is fully practical. Whereas the others from EC Council, CompTIA, they are not really practical. Rochester, it's basically like multiple choice questions, short answer questions, drag and drop. But I think they do have some practical aspects to it, right? You can do your research and so on, but it is up to you, right? You can complement these certs with something simple. If you're looking for a very simple course to do that is short and to the point and very cheap as well, the exam, the ITIL, that is the IT Infrastructure Library Certification. I believe they are up to version 4, but it is in very high demand, and it works hand in hand with basically services and service life cycle and all of these things that some of you all may know about. But what it really does, what these non-technical courses do, is that they sort of bridge the gap between the business analyst side and the business shareholder and stakeholder side with the technical side, because you'll find that sometimes the management and technical people are like day and night, and they really don't mesh well or get along. The problem that we have there is that a lot of the management type persons and the non-technical certified persons, which may not be their fault, right? You have to look at the employers as well. They may be certified and specialized in project management, and for example, the CISM in the last line there, that is the Certified Information Security Manager. These courses are not technical whatsoever. There is nothing technical about these courses. However, they look at things from a management and a managerial perspective and a business and an analyst perspective, right? So these are courses that are pretty much in high demand, right? What you can do, as I have down there in green, this is the way to go. Look at the job sites, right? Look at LinkedIn, look at glassdoor.com, look at indeed.com. For those of us in Trinidad, yes, you have Caribbean jobs and Trinidad jobs and so on, but the jobs here are few and far between. Aim a little bigger, monster.com, indeed.com, glassdoor.com, LinkedIn even, and look at what they are asking for, right? Look at the requirements, look at the industry relevance. Joel is looking at like as if he wants to say something here. Joel, you have anything to add to that?
I'm trying to hold my words back. We'll get into those things maybe later on, but one of the things is that I think the local companies who do vetting for jobs like Caribbean Jobs and a couple others, they need there's a couple other recruitment sites too, like Eve Anderson and a couple others, but a lot of these jobs that come up for IT and IT security, they post a lot of job requirements on these sites, and they do not have, or they do not do a good job of maybe pushing back on a lot of these companies if they could. I know that it may not be their responsibility, but I see a lot of jobs that come out within ICT, and they're looking for basically a one-man Superman team, right? But we'll get into that later on and into other topics and stuff like that. There's a whole lot of separate discussion. It triggered my PTSD already.
Yeah, we had a discussion about that just today.
Yeah.
Actually, we have discussions about that almost every day now.
Almost every day now.
Ridiculous.
I'm 20 years old and I have 50 years experience.
Yeah.
10 years experience and certifications costing over 100,000 TT dollars to get and paying your
PhD, everything.
But anyway, we'll do one.
Yeah. Right, so this is my pet peeve. This is where I have to put out thousands of dollars a year, or at least every 2 years, to recertify. And I am pretty pissed off about it because I have been teaching some of these courses for close to over a decade, some of them close to 2 decades, right? Some of them are actually that old, especially ones from CompTIA and so on. And yes, I'm a certified instructor. So my thing is, if I am a certified instructor and I'm teaching this regularly and I'm making money for your company, why do I still have to pay the full price to recertify? Why do I still have to go through the entire exam again? Because for anyone that has recertified in anything under the sun, you realize that the changes are not that drastic. The exam is very different. But is it that you're now telling me that all technologies have been upgraded and all technologies have changed? I don't think so. Definitely, of course, you have different versions and different types of firmwares of switches, routers, servers, Windows, and so on. But the prices for recertification, for me, should not be the same as to actually do the course for a beginner. I think that is a money-making scheme, and I really do not like it, right? Because, yeah, like I said, I have over 15 certifications, and every year I look at my certifications and be like, do I really need this? Do I really need to recertify in these things, right? But because I am pretty much the front for CFSI and a consultant and stuff, I have no choice. But for you guys that actually are looking towards maybe delving a little further into a career or changing careers and so on, this is why I keep saying, do a lot of research on what you would like to do. Don't just do a certification that is valid in where you are in your country or region, but you may want to step out. You may want to go to Canada, the UK, the US. Look at what is industry relevant there as well, which is why I said previously that you should probably start looking at job sites and seeing what are their prerequisites and requirements on LinkedIn and Indeed.com and Glassdoor.com. And after a while, you will really begin to ask yourself, is the certification actually worth it, or should I just skip this and go to something else? Not only that, but there's also the problem of the vendors themselves, like Cisco. Cisco had the CCNA, they had the CCDA, they had a million other certifications in the same line with the CCNA. And you would have a lot of people that would have done these different certifications to specialize at that level, right? And then recently, I think it was about 2 years ago, Cisco decided to just do away with all those additional certs and just have their flagship certifications, which would be the CCNA, the CCNP, and the CCIE, right? So it is a lot of money that you have to put out there for your certification and your recertification, and then you don't know what will change, what comes in the industry. So this is why I go back again to telling you all to lab up. Create your labs, do what you can do, look at maybe what is experienced in your environment, or meet with friends, talk to us even, right? And we will try and help you create your labs and show you what you could do. And also every 2 years, I would like you all to reevaluate your goals and your certifications. Is this where you would like to be? Did you progress? If you did not progress, why didn't you? Was it because of you? Was it because of work? Was it because of a financial or economic situation? COVID has hit everyone in some way or the other, whether it be personally or family related or work related, financially. We are in some pretty dire times, and then we have this lovely Delta variant that has come along and put everything into a tailspin once again. So this is why it's even more important now to decide what you are going to invest in to make yourself better or put yourself up there. And the thing is, you do not have to actually do a certification. There are a lot of courses out there. Take a look at Udemy. Take a look at the Cyber Mentor, his website as well. Some of these courses are anywhere from 10 US to about 25, 50 US, and they have some excellent tutorials out there. And then from this, you can go and make your own content, or you could do labs, you can offer different services, right? So it goes back to what I said earlier, which is it is about you. And where we have certs versus self-taught, I have 15 certifications. For example, Alex may have 5. Does that mean, sorry, Alex has 2. Does that mean that I know more than Alex? It absolutely does not. Alex spends, I would say, 90% of his life behind a computer, whether playing games or actually doing work or research, but a lot of it is research. There's a lot of reading. There's a lot of labs that go into there. He builds his own servers, practices. We've all built our own small networks for practice. So you don't have to have all the certs in the world. Yes, certs are great. Okay, so you have a million certs. You have Amazon and Google Cloud and all the non-technical, all the technical, great. But does that make you a master of any of them? And this is the problem. If you look at job sites and you see they want 18 certifications, but you only have 2, does that mean that you now have to go and try and get all those other 16 certifications? No. Focus on you. What is for you, right? Make yourself great at something. Make yourself the best at something. Focus on your networking or your cybersecurity or incident response. We will help you along the way if you reach out to us, right? So yeah, the recognized certs and even the degrees, they do look excellent on paper, but do you understand the content? Can you teach it to someone else? Because you don't really truly understand something until you can explain it to a child, or you could teach it to someone else. Case in point, I have a friend, she has a son, I think he's about 8 or 9 years old or something, and she started him in programming. And I was pretty surprised because I thought programming was as in coding, but she showed me that she signed him up with a company that makes it fun, and they actually use shapes and games and so on to actually teach the programming. And then there's Minecraft as well, which he's very much in. Actually, I think he has his own Minecraft channel on YouTube at 8 years old. We have a different breed and a different generation coming up now, right? But it does apply to adults as well. Just because you don't know everything in Ruby and Java and JavaScript and Python and Perl and millions of other languages, to be a programmer, do I now need to go ahead and learn all of these languages? Not necessarily. You pick a couple of them and you try to be good at it. right? And for us in cybersecurity here, Python seems to be the big deal at the moment, right? I think Joel actually is doing some courses in Python, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Python and Ansible and stuff. Remember, Joel, what Deo said? Deo said not to do too much at a time. Deo said to please focus on one or two things at a time.
Joel is
Trying to
an
do everything on himself.
Joel is the exception.
I take it in one at a time. It is. Python is really, really good, but it's because of the functionality that it offers. But it really is a fantastic language.
It is. And it's good to expand your skill sets a bit because everybody should know a little bit of scripting or a little bit of programming. I know a lot of HTML in particular, so it's not too bad to jump across into those because I was into web design at one point, a very long time ago, right? But you see this what I have in blue here, the light blue in the middle with labs and practical are the best way to understand what you have learned. I cannot emphasize this enough. Please, when we show you all how to do this, or if you already have a virtualized lab with whether you use VMware or VirtualBox or Parallels or what's this one Damien uses all the time? Is it Docker? Proxmox. Yeah. If you use Proxmox, right, or whatever you use to virtualize and make your own labs, please do it, because the thing is, you have a lot of interviewers now that may actually test your technical knowledge and skill set. For example, I have some friends who had interviews with Ernst & Young recently, and they were asked some very interesting questions. They were almost grilled from what they told me about those interviews there. So, and it was a lot of technical stuff as well. So being able to recite the OSI model with application, presentation, session layers, whatever is great. It's fine. You need to know this stuff for networking. But should they instead ask you about what are the steps for incident response and forensics, or what about Metasploit commands for hacking and so on? This is where the only way you'll be able to know this, unless you have, some photogenic memory and could read through books and remember all the stuff. Good for you, great. Most of us can't do that, and we have to read things over and over and over. Or just put it into practice, lab up and lab up again, right? Because you may have one cert, but a wealth of self-taught experience and knowledge from setting up your labs and or doing practical courses. So this is why you'll hear me say over and over and over throughout all the webinars, all the workshops. I will become annoying after a while, yes, but practical is very, very important. All of these guys can attest to that. You have to practice, especially for those of us that are in a job hoping to work our way into what we would like to do. Because I mean, the fact is you have to survive, you have to live, you have to pay your bills, right? So you have to take sometimes what you get, which is very demotivating at times if you are stuck in a job and it has nothing to do with what you would like to do, right? I have seen people wither away in jobs like that, but please make it. Put aside half an hour, put aside 1 hour a day or every other day and try some labs. Believe me, within a month and 2 months, 3 months, you will be amazed at how much you have learned.
Just to add to that, Shiva. So
Yeah.
as part of the same interviews that we did at EY for the recruiting of the staff, so I was part of some of those interviews, and we had a lot of people who applied who certified and everything, but they had zero experience or little to no experience. And while that wasn't that wouldn't be a reason why we would not hire someone with that skill set without the experience. But one of the things that we looked for is that, and one of the questions we asked is, so you don't have the work experience, how do you test your skills then? And as from the ones that I have, from the interviews that I was part of, almost no one said anything about doing labs or attending these sign up to these sites like Hack the Box or Hack the Site or any of the online resources to practice. And honestly, recruiters would look at something like that, especially if you could comment on an interview and say, well, on Hack the Box, I reached hacker level because I compromised 12 machines. Because you could take a screenshot and show as evidence that these are the machines you have compromised, this is the operating system you have compromised, this is what you have learned along the way. So you may not have field experience, but you have the practical experience, and it shows that you are motivated and still willing to practice and learn. That's the main thing. And any of the students who in the webinar now who pass through the training, you know, we always talk about those sites like Hack the Box and Hack the Site and all these other resources to practice on. And we don't say it just for saying its sake. It actually counts towards some sort of experience, and employers do look at things like that. Like, I would quicker hire somebody if you have no work experience, but you can show me you actually do practice it still. I'll quicker hire you than if you have more certifications than me.
Correct.
Yeah, because I think I was actually looking at a video on a guy, I think is Neil Bridges, his name, and David Bombal. He did a podcast, I think, and Neil was actually talking about that. You know, if he's actually looking at a resume or somebody's LinkedIn profile, and you put, well, aspiring pen tester or aspiring ethical hacker, whatever, that's a big X in his book.
Correct.
Why don't you put, I do Happy Box whatever time and I reach this rank? That is experience when you lab up.
Yeah.
Again, as Alex was saying, it's not field experience, but you are willing to actually do the work, and that's what they're looking for. So don't think of it as, oh, yeah, it's just a virtual environment. They're not going to think about that. Nobody out there besides Shiba has a data center, right? So a lot of these people, I mean, especially when I was talking about before, when you get out of school, you're not going to be jumping knee deep, you know, as they were saying, you know, he's working with Fujitsu in the big companies. You're hardly, if you get that, you're lucky. You have to build your own experience, and that's where, again, as you keep hammering there, but labs, that's how I learned as well. That's something, all of us, thank God for labs.
Yeah, it is labs, because when I hired all of these guys here, I didn't ask for resumes. I know what they do, and they do labs. They are always on Try Hack Me, Hack the Site, Hack the Box. What was that one with the bandits level 1 and 2? Over the wire, Hack the Box, Try Hack Me. So these guys, I know that they are into that stuff, and I would usually ask them, okay, well, maybe what level you are at and so on, and that's how I hired them in particular. I mean, apart from being their lecturer, I obviously saw a lot in them, right? But the main thing that I was talking to the senior regional manager for Ernst & Young, who is actually Alex's boss, and he was telling me that, I mean, you know, what he looks for in particular is someone who is able to work on their own, and importantly, most importantly, somebody who can learn on their own, right? So learning on your own, it goes back to the practical. You lab up, or you try these sites like Try Hack Me, Hack the Box. And I mean, this is if you want to get into the pen testing aspect of it. If you would like to get into the incident response and forensics, you do have a lot of them out there. I think there's a site called Malware Traffic Analysis where you can download a lot of packet files that were captured and analyze them and see what happened. But I myself will do the incident response and forensics with you all, because what I realize is that we have a lot of stuff for hacking and pen testing out there, but we hardly have much for forensics and incident response. So what we're really talking about right now is something called a red team, a blue team, and a purple team. So the red team is usually the ones that would do the hacking, the pen testing, and so on. The blue team would be the ones that do the incident response, where they respond to an incident of maybe being a breach or someone getting hacked or email harassment, forensics, essentially. That's the blue team. But when you combine the colors red and blue, you actually get purple. So the purple team is actually a combination of both skill sets, right? Which all of us inside here have, but the red team is a difficult skill set to obtain. The blue team is a difficult skill set to obtain. But if you could combine both of them, you have just put yourself in an elite category above the rest, because it really is a highly competitive industry out there, right? But we will actually do an entire webinar, possibly next month, on purple teaming. So we'll cover a bit on red, on blue, and actually give you the best of both worlds. I will go through some of the tools and some of the operating systems that we look at. To add to this, I keep saying that it's very stressful. I will actually have a psychologist on one of our webinars, and she is incredibly good. And what I asked her to speak about is the stresses of not just IT people, but work in general, especially working from home, working during times of a pandemic, and also the stresses of students or unemployed people who are actually trying to gain employment in these times, right? So hopefully maybe some therapy there for us, some much needed therapy for this group, I can say. But as what these guys said, you need to get involved, right? It is practical, because no matter if you decide to stay locally, regionally, or go internationally, it doesn't matter. Your skill sets, your knowledge, your ability to learn on your own and practice is what matters, right? So for those of us in Trinidad, I mean, the jobs in IT, it is usually maybe a network specialist or IT specialist. You don't really see much or many security positions. It's all about, it's not really specifically cybersecurity or infosec or information security related. Those are very few and far between. And as Joel mentioned, those are the ones that ask for some ridiculous requirements. And as Jonathan said, you might be 25 years old and they ask for 50 years worth of experience. It really is ridiculous out there. Regionally, however, I mean, if you look at, for those of us in the Caribbean, if you look at Jamaica, even Jamaica is pretty much now probably the technical hub of the Caribbean. Jamaica, Barbados, and those countries as well, they seem to be doing really well, and they are at the forefront, even in terms of introducing blockchain and crypto and all of these things. They already took front, right? Whereas a lot of other countries might be trying to block those things, which I think is absolutely ludicrous, but it is what it is. Internationally, this is where I want you all to be. Think outside your fish bowl, think outside your aquarium, think about the ocean out there, put yourselves out there. Don't be afraid to reach out to others on LinkedIn. The worst that could happen is that you won't get a response. There are many jobs on LinkedIn that you should even try to apply for. Not just on LinkedIn, but Glassdoor and Indeed.com. Go ahead, try. And what you can do is maybe ask for feedback, which will be invaluable to you. Try and reach out to the recruiter, and if they reply and say, we're sorry, but we decided to go with someone else, maybe ask if you could have a couple minutes of their time to ask, okay, well, based on your resume, maybe what could you do to not just enhance your resume, but maybe your skill set? What exactly are they looking for that they could not say in that tiny little paragraph asking you to come and fill that role there? All right, so in the last box there where I have a look at job on LinkedIn, Indeed, Monster.com, Glassdoor.com, those are places where you definitely want to have a look at and see what jobs exist outside, what degrees they ask for, what certifications they ask for, and more importantly, what experience they ask for, because you could create your own labs to some extent and actually try to actually get some of that experience in a self-taught manner, right? Remember, there are even the cybersecurity and hacking labs and stuff you have out there. You have so many of them that you could do. You can take screenshots, you can write up little reports on what was done, and let people know that you are a critical thinker, not just the perfect employee who will have a million certifications and the degrees and maybe a couple years experience and willing to do whatever management says, which is fine, but is management always right? I think not. So yeah, think outside, but yeah, try it out. Try to go on LinkedIn and maybe apply for some jobs that you're scared to, or maybe that you think you could do. Like I said, the most that will happen is that you will get no for an answer, which is actually not a problem, right? It doesn't end your life or anything. And a little secret, the more jobs you apply for and the more rejection you get from those jobs, it really does not bother you after a while. You actually say, okay, well, I didn't get through this. All right, well, on to the next one. You know, maybe that just wasn't for me. I've actually been to a lot of interviews just for fun. I really wasn't looking for a job, but I wanted to go. But that was more social engineering. I learned that from Johnny to see what infrastructure may have existed. Maybe I've said too much already. So let's
It's a legit strategy, though.
I don't know what to
strategy. Before I go to the other slide, which is actually about the workshops and so on, anything you guys want to add here one time?
Don't lie on your resume, especially when it comes to InfoSec jobs.
That is correct. Do
Because
not, please, guys.
you're asked to do something practical in an interview. You'll probably be walking back out same speed you came in with.
With
Correct.
shame.
With shame. Well, some people don't have.
Yeah, I mean, like, even
I remember a young lady.
Close that door. So I mean,
a young lady was doing the MCSE, which is the Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer, back in, I think that was maybe 2004, 2003. And she did it the paper certified way. She did it in a boot camp where there wasn't much practical. And she looked at a lot of past questions, past paper questions, what have you. And she sat the exam. She passed all the exams. She became a Microsoft Certified Engineer, but she was paper certified because she went to the job and they told her that they will give her the week off to learn exactly what she needs to learn for the job. And if she can't do it, don't come back. And of course, she didn't go back, right? But do not be paper certified. Please don't just know all but master of none. Find something to master, to be good at. I mean, yeah, you may not know everything. These guys, I mean, I've been in IT for well over 2 decades, but I always learn something from these guys, or I might see something on YouTube or join a webinar. Just yesterday, I was on YouTube, and a long time ago on cable, there used to be a channel called Tech TV, which was replaced by something pretty stupid called G4 Tech TV, which is just games. I have no problem with games. I love games. I'm always on Call of Duty. I will not give my my gamer handle out there. But Tech TV was awesome. There was a guy who used to do shows called Leo Laporte, and
Leo Laporte.
So Leo Laporte, he has his own show on YouTube. I can't remember it, but you could just look for Leo Laporte, and he is a genius because he takes some of the most complex things and breaks it down so very simply, much like these guys here. This is what they do as well. When you understand something very well, it's easy to break down and explain so that a child would know it, right? So do not lie on your resumes. If you lie on your resumes, you are going to end up in a huge pile of duty, right? So just, you know, if it's not for you, it's not for you. That's okay. We have other opportunities out there. There's nothing wrong in doing something that you don't like at the moment, but what's wrong and what's not right is if you're stuck there. And if you are stuck there, be very honest with yourselves. Why am I stuck here? Am I stuck here because it allows me the time to do what I would really like to do? Or am I stuck here because it pays my bills for the moment? Or am I stuck here because I come to work, I work for these people, and then I go home and I watch TV or play games, and that's it? You have to make the time, and you have to put your work in, you have to put your hours in. Get where you need to be. Life is a very short thing. Before you blink, you're going to see 10 years pass you by, etc. So make the use of it. As Alex usually says, we here for a good time, not a long time. And that is something to live by.
Never know when it's gonna go. We'll never know when it's gonna end, particularly with COVID going on.
Correct. You never know what is going to happen, and if you take the chance, something just might happen, right? But that's why I said, you know, go ahead, apply for all those jobs. If you get rejected, okay, great. None is wrong with being rejected, but reach out to the recruiters if possible. Ask them, you know, maybe what you can work on to enhance your skill set, and maybe even reapply at some time later on. All right, so think outside the box. Think outside. If you're from one of the islands like we are here in Trinidad in the Caribbean, you know, I mean, when you think about it, COVID actually has a little silver lining, which is remote work. A lot of people are working remotely, which means that, especially for people in tech, we can work anywhere around the world, right? Yes, there may be some legal aspects that you have to see about and your taxes, etc. But you don't actually have to fly thousands of miles away anymore to get to a job site. Everything is being done, just like our webinar, right? I'm pretty grateful for everyone that's here today. We have a lot of people here, a lot more than I expected to be here, actually. And speaking about the workshops, right? These are some of the upcoming CyberFence workshops. Like I said, I know on LinkedIn and Facebook and a couple of those other platforms, I did mention that I was supposed to put out the link for the workshop for you all to register, but we decided to sort of revisit it, because like I said, I was just going to jump into an advanced level and hope that people could keep up, or more cater towards people who are at my advanced level, which may not be fair to a lot of people. So this is not the exact order that we will be going in, but we'll definitely be starting off with introduction to cybersecurity. I am actually thinking that maybe next week, Thursday, we can probably get this out of the way with the introduction to cybersecurity. And in September, we can do one with building pen testing forensics labs. Now, these are the workshops. Remember I said this CyberFence series will, every month we will try to have at least one webinar and definitely one workshop. So we may have 2 to 3 webinars depending on what we wish to discuss. Even if we only have 2 people in the audience, that's great. We love speaking about tech stuff with each other. We get along really well. So if you'd like to join us, that's great. All right, so we have a lot of things that we want to teach you all here, from memory analysis, purple teaming, server hacking, threat intelligence, crypto assets. One of my very certified friends, if he has the time, he's a bank manager in Canada. Hopefully he might be able to do some stuff on governance and risk analysis and stuff like that too, because that is very important in the tech industry today. Think about it. If you have to do a penetration test, why are you doing a penetration test? Because you would like to know what risks exist, right? How can you add value or figure to these risks inside the organizations? And these risks, what are they? Are they vulnerabilities? We will get into pen tests and vulnerability assessments. They are quite different. A vulnerability assessment is usually just where you may scan every device and look for existing threats and vulnerabilities. A penetration test, which is far more in-depth, advanced, and obviously more expensive, is where you perhaps find some vulnerable machines and then you decide to throw everything in the book at it to see if you can own that device or hack that device, exploit it. And then maybe if you hack that device, could you then hack the entire network? So for example, I did an assessment for a credit union. They were the victims of DOS attacks. So their routers and firewalls were going up and down. Their email servers got blacklisted. So they called me in to do some forensics and some vulnerability assessment analysis. We scanned every single device inside of there. We found nothing that would enable or allow DOS attacks, which is a denial of service attack. A denial of service attack, for those of you that don't know, is where you are denied some sort of service. So for example, if I walk into your house and I unplug your router, you should not have internet or at least Wi-Fi access. So you are being denied access to that service. So hackers can usually facilitate this denial of service attack against one of your machines. I spent about 2 weeks inside of there trying to analyze and assess everything. I got totally fed up. I went into their lobby, I sat on a chair and I stared at a screen, and it was a TV, and the TV was showing a bunch of ads, and that's about it. So I just wondered, okay, is this TV connected to the network? And they said, no, this has a direct connection. It has 2. It is actually connected to the network, but it also has a direct link outside, which is where the advertising company would push updates to their televisions. When we scanned the televisions, we realized that there were some Java applications, which is basically apps that you would install. This was I think it was a Samsung TV, and the apps were outdated, sorry. Because when you think about it, how many of us have IoT and smart devices, Internet of Things and smart devices that we have to manually update? When last have you updated your Wi-Fi routers, the firmware? Do you even know that you can do that? So it's not just that servers, laptops, desktops can be updated. Everything can be updated. All apps become vulnerable. When Windows XP, for example, if you walk into a government agency and find a lot of Windows XP and Windows 7 machines, a little bit of hacker's paradise there. A lot of fun for a pen tester, but a lot of work for a pen tester, because the report is where the money is at, and that report can drive you insane. I did some reports earlier this year. One of them, thanks to Mr. Deodat Ganga, who did the technical work, and I had to do the report. One of those reports came up to 200 pages. Thank you very much, my good friend Deodat Ganga. I really owe you. Just
Igor Phillips.
and that was that was one report. It was actually 12 reports in total. Some of them, thankfully, were only like 50 pages, but a lot of them were between 200 to 500 pages. Needless to say, I mean, actually, there were about 3 companies that I did so far where they crossed 300 pages. Right, so pen testing and stuff and cybersecurity is great, but you need to know about reporting. Reporting is very important. There was a company in the States that was sued because the report that they handed over to their client was not in depth. It was probably maximum, I think it was 30 or 50 pages, and that is inclusive of appendices as well, which is terrible because sometimes your executive summary alone can be about 5 or 6 pages, maybe, right? So we will at some point be also doing a workshop on pen testing reporting, and I could probably ask Alex right now if he would probably spearhead that workshop. My good old buddy, old pal Alex. Yeah.
Spearhead what now?
Or maybe we could have a collaborative effort between Alex and Johnny for pen testing reporting. So yeah, moving on. Thanks, guys. Right. Yeah. One that I think that you all should look up. You see, that I'm not sure if you all can see the mouse there on screen, but this IoT and ICS hacking. IoT is the Internet of Things, and ICS, I believe, industrial control systems. Recently, I think there was a huge finding with IoT devices where they discovered that 35 billion IoT devices were vulnerable. An IoT device could even be like your Alexa devices, your Fire Stick devices, your Android box devices,
Smartwatches.
Smartwatches, your Apple Watches, whatever. You know, whatever would have the word smart in front of it is usually an IoT device,
Fridge.
right? But
Yeah, Fred.
yeah, there's a very lovely tool out there called Shodan. You could probably just enter Shodan and Shodan.io in your browser and check it out. It's an IoT search engine. If you learn to use this tool properly, it will aid you greatly in pen testing, or even inside your company if you would like to see maybe if they're at risk or vulnerable, whatever the case may be. All right, so we hope to at least do introduction to cybersecurity this month, and then building your pen tests and forensics labs in September. And then from there, we just roll with it. We go into OSINT, which is the open source intelligence, memory analysis, RAM analysis, ransomware analysis. I will do something on easy subnetting because for some reason, a lot of people out there that are into networking, they are terrified of the word subnetting and they don't know how to subnet, or maybe they read it somewhere or looked at some ridiculous version that looks like long division that takes you about 10 minutes just to get your subnet information. What I have is a tiny little table that will show you everything in under 2 minutes. Actually, under 1 minute. When you get the hang of it, you'll be able to find things in under 1 minute, such as the network IP, the first usable IP address, the broadcast address, the next network IP address, the last usable address. All of these things you'll be able to calculate in your mind in under 1 minute using that method. So we'll get to that as well at some point. So it is actually like almost an entire diploma that we will be offering here, and this is just what I have maybe for the year, I guess, right? Yeah, it's close to about 12 sessions that we have there, right? So I want to make sure that once you stick with us, you should be able to do all of these things because these workshops will be fully practical. There may be 1 or 2 that may be theoretical, like the purple teaming one may be theoretical, introduction to cybersecurity next week may be theoretical, but the majority of them are very, very practical, right? But yeah, stick with us. We'll be your mentors for a while until you could go off and maybe hopefully teach others or inspire others, or at least give them some good advice, maybe. All right, so what's the time? Oh, it's 10 to 8 already. Wow, time flies. Yeah, guys, y'all have anything that y'all want to add to this stuff before we wrap up?
Yeah, so me?
Yeah, Joe, you go ahead.
Me. Call me name. Hey. So just to reinforce the point, I know everybody's speaking about it, but what Alex said is definitely true. Your experience that you put in with your own labs counts as experience, and you'll find that everybody, Johnny, Shiva, Alex, Deo, everyone is going to see the same thing and reiterate it multiple times across the platform, because it's one of the most important things to consider. Because you can have employees who work in an actual job and perform minimal duties and not actually have any real world experience. Maybe they're in a role that's pretty relaxed, or they're in a role that hasn't changed much over the years, and they're not developing themselves. And you are in a role where you're trying to develop yourself and doing your own labs, and that actually counts more in terms of experience and real world attributes than if you just do nothing in a permanent full-time position. So I just wanted to put that in.
Sure. Thanks, Joe. Johnny, anything you want to add?
I guess later on I'll show you all how to get some free KFC.
I don't think they want KFC after a long lockdown like what they just had, though. That chicken might be real stale.
Disclaimer, yes.
I've not had KFC in quite some time, months possibly.
Not a
Okay, so
few.
yeah, Johnny will show us some really nice tips. Dale, anything you want to add to?
I mean, just to continue along the lines of Alex and Joel there, learning how to set up virtualization software and VM, that is actually a job in itself. Troubleshooting VMs as a system administrator. So you, in your practice, doing your own labs, you could actually get experience and encounter the problems that you'll encounter in a real life production environment. So I think labbing up is very important, and practicing. Honestly, when I was learning in maybe the first year or two, I would practice from the time the sun goes down till about 3 a.m. I mean, it would lead to YouTube videos, going on LinkedIn, going on Facebook. Instead of subscribing to all these meme sites or whatever, I actually, yes, I actually started subscribing to things like Hacking Articles, Null Bytes, Black Hills, and all these different people. And I guess I would have been annoying you guys in the different WhatsApp groups, even up to 2 a.m. getting these articles and whatnot. So yeah, practice, but it does take a lot of time. Time is key, and you need to make the time. If you don't make the time, you won't succeed in this field.
Exactly.
I mean, every day something new comes out, some new exploit, some new method, something that worked for you yesterday might not work tomorrow, something that didn't work yesterday might work tomorrow. So you need to be abreast with the cybersecurity landscape and what happens.
Yeah, I mean, being in this, you have to actually enjoy what you do, because if you don't, you're gonna burn out pretty fast.
Cybersecurity is a pretty big field out there. Everybody is trying to get into cybersecurity, but make sure that this is something that you have the time to dedicate to, that you actually like it, right? The year was 1995, and I saw a movie called Hackers, and I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. This is what I want to do. Little did I know that I would have to read millions of articles. Hacking is not fun, because a lot of times if you actually get through to a server, you don't know. You might actually be inside and have shell or root or whatever and not know until you do a bunch of stuff, and then after you do like your first couple of assessments ethically, of course. We all do this ethically. There's no questionable behavior here whatsoever. But yeah, after the first couple times, I mean, it's just more reading, more labs, more reading, more labs, more practice. But hopefully somewhere along the way, some of the things that you read actually interest you, and the labs that you do, they interest you. If that happens, then you know that, okay, maybe cybersecurity and incident response or even networking may be just for you, right? There's absolutely nothing wrong if you decide to choose some other field. If you, all of us, we all have different things that we fall back on. It's never a good thing to put all your eggs in one basket, and that is the problem with IT and cybersecurity. It consumes you. It consumes your life, your time, your brain, everything, right? So please be sure to look at other options available to you out there. Remember, like I said, like Alex actually does agriculture, and he's a drummer, and he does 3D printing, and Deo actually does everything under the sun. Deo does AC work, plumbing, tiling, woodworking. He builds data centers. He does penetration testing. Johnny finds different ways to get KFC. Joel does every single thing in networking. I don't think there is anyone in the Caribbean, any analyst or any ISP worker, or anyone that's certified in Cisco and Fortinet that does not know Mr. Joel Gooding. And his cousin Arvin Gooding is also very famous as well. I believe he owns UNDSL. Big shout out to UNDSL and UNDSL people out there. Wait, no, she left. All right. I was gonna shout out to one of our students, but she left, so I just realized she's no longer with them. But yeah, good place, good guy, good place to get some great place to get some experience for those of you all that may be looking for some IT experience with UNDSL. Don't hold me to that. Right, but yeah, on the final slide here, if you want to get in contact with us, that's my general email address, which is info@cfsi.co. The LinkedIn address there, that is the CFSI page over at LinkedIn. This is where I usually post the registration links first, right? So to avoid not being able to register, because you know, right now we're stuck at 100 people. We would like to have as many as possible, but it just is what it is right now. That's where I usually post the links first, and then eventually I will post to the Facebook page and the Only at CFSI page. For those interested in courses in particular, the courses are usually posted on the Facebook and the Instagram pages. The pen testing and everything else, you can find me on LinkedIn as well. Feel free to add me on LinkedIn. It is not a bother. Feel free to reach out, to message. Even if it's to say hi, or I don't know, it's fine, right? All my friends are actually on screen here. That's about it. Plus maybe about 10 more on the outside. There's an interesting group of us out there. Shout out to all the guys out there, you know, Ryan and Sachin and everybody. And oh God, I can't remember every name. Sorry, fellas. All the Pulau Kings. All right. Yeah, everybody. Bruce, Karen, all the guys who probably logged on and watching, Shivaran and Leslie and Mayank and all my guys out there. All right, so yeah, it's 7:57, guys. It was awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope this was a little insightful and a little helpful. Check out the LinkedIn page. That's CFSI-cybersec. If not over the weekend, by Monday. By Monday, the registration link for the first workshop, which you will be given a certificate of attendance for, it will be published there on Monday, right? So I would love for you guys to be able to register first, because that's just my way of sort of thanking you for attending this session, to just to Lime with us. For those of you all outside of Trinidad, Lime is the equivalent to hang, so thanks for hanging with us. Right. We hope to keep it very casual. We'll probably have to buy a t-shirt for Joel instead of that very formal looking. Very, very nice, by the way. Very nice shirt. Right, but we'll keep it casual. We'll keep it fun. We will try and guide you all. You could reach out to us. You could add us on LinkedIn and stuff. It's there. Expand your network. If you are not on LinkedIn, please join it. Even if you have no content, it doesn't matter. Join it for now. You will get there. My advice to you all: register a company. Right? You mightn't have anything to do with that company now, but in 5 years, you will have a 5-year-old company. right? So, I mean, hopefully, yes, you will have some skills in your company and so on. If you guys need advice, whatever, feel free to reach out. I can always put you on to the guys there. I think what we might also look at doing is maybe to have either just a regular Zoom or Jitsi meeting where we could, everyone in the audience could actually interact with us, and y'all can ask us questions or chat with us even if you want to bring up a couple topics, for example, for discussion. But speaking about topics for discussion, check out that new IoT vulnerability that was found this week, where they said that 35 billion devices were affected. Right? It's a pretty interesting read with the random number generator and stuff like that. Some pretty cool stuff. Also, I think all of Black Hat DEF CON, which was in Las Vegas this year, is supposed to be on YouTube for everyone. They have some really out of this world topics, amazingly mind-blowing topics with the DEF CON. Right? So what I will also do. Sorry?
COVID brought out the best of these people.
Yeah. You know, everybody was away for so long. It's time to come out and get two seconds of sunlight, I guess. Right. But what we'll also start doing is maybe putting together some links, because I called out a lot of links, and I think I will just make a list of the links with the sites that we spoke about. And on Monday as well, I'll put them up on the CFSI-CyberSec group on LinkedIn. Right. So all these
Discord as well.
Oh, Alex has created a Discord server, which we will put up information about there also. So, which is actually fantastic, because as long as we have the Discord server, we don't need anything else. We could actually all communicate there. We could post interesting articles and chat with you all about things that you might need to know outside of the webinar. And if after the webinars and the workshops you have questions, we'll be there. We'll be free to discuss with you all. Take advantage of it. Believe me when I say that having access to people who are in the field, experienced in the field, and are subject matter experts for free, this does not happen, right? So while we offer this service, please feel free to reach out to us, take advantage. You can let your friends know as well. It doesn't matter, right? We're genuinely glad to help and mentor you guys as much as we could. All right, so you can screenshot those addresses there. You could take a picture of it. There's a chat feature as well. If anybody has any questions, or anyone wants to chat and ask us any question, feel free. I'm not seeing any chat, which means that you all were so engrossed and consumed by this awesomely intelligent webinar that we put on for you guys here. But on a serious note, thank you all very much. It's 8:01, and I think we will hold up on there for today. Please, guys, wherever you are, please be very safe. Double mask, sanitize, keep your social distancing, and try to retain some peace and sanity in these times, right? Take care of yourselves out there. And for those of you joining us for the workshop, I will see you all next week, Thursday. For those of you who just here for the webinars and stuff, we will have others throughout. Just keep checking back that our CFSI LinkedIn page, and we'll have everything there. All right, so guys, everybody, thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you all soon. So take care.
All right, y'all, take care.
Okay, good night.
Bye.
Bye, guys.